what we'll do in this lesson is work on making a mail window that's going to make it more convenient for us to access certain tools we'll be using on our rig. We'll want to get to our script editor, so we can go to the bottom right hand corner of our screen, and we'll go ahead and start with that mail window. Now we do have a kit that discusses how to make mail windows and such. That's called our Artist Guide to Mail, so I do recommend you checking that out if you're somewhat uncomfortable with mail scripting. But I'm pretty much going to, for the most part, just fly through this, so you can go ahead and follow along with me as I create this window. So the first part of our window will basically be our description. So I've just added a comment, and also after the comment we'll say what this window does. So this is a window for our node generator. Okay, so now that that has been established, what we'll now do is go ahead and work on the script for making the window. So that's going to be string, okay, followed by our variable or $, and then what we'll call it. So that's going to be node generator. Now that that has been written, now we want to go ahead and put an equal sign so we can work on making the window. We want to now put a single quote that is right over the tab key. Okay, so the key right over the tab key, that's our single quote. We'll hit that, and then we'll type in window so it knows what it's making. And from there we can go ahead one line under, hit tab a few times so we can put all the rest of this right under window to keep everything organized within our script. We'll add a title that's going to be node generator. Node generator. Okay, so once we have that added, we can go to the next line underneath, hit tab a few more times, and we'll establish our width and height. Okay, and here we'll make it a width of 128 by a height of 256. Next we'll go to the next line underneath, hit tab a few times, and we'll want to now add our window name. So that is node generator. Okay, now that that's been done, we now want to put another single quote, so we'll hit that followed by a colon to establish this window. So next we'll go right underneath this and we'll put in another comment. So this is going to be a row column layout. So this is going to basically define, we can put define our row and column layout. So now that we know what the next line is going to do, we'll go ahead and work on adding our row column layout. So we'll type in row, capital C, column. Oh, make sure we spell everything right so everything will work correctly. Okay, so that's going to be row column layout, and we'll want to establish the number of columns. So we'll put number, capital OF, capital C for columns, and that's going to be 2 followed by another dash. Okay, and this will establish the size of our layout. So we'll put 2 followed by space 50, and we'll put another semicolon. Then we'll enter a few times, put another comment section, and this is going to basically tell us what our columns hold. So for our first column, column 1, we can say column 1 is going to be where our buttons lie. So we can just put in buttons. And then for column 2, we can add a few more spaces there. And column 2, column 2 is basically going to hold our button description. So we'll go ahead and put that in. This is going to be our button descriptions. Great. So now we're ready to work on making those buttons. So for our first button, let's go ahead and first put a separator. And this is the only reason why I'm adding the separator is just so we can get some nice spacing in our window. Okay, so better spacing so it doesn't look too bad. Okay, so we'll put 2 separators, what I like to do, and then go underneath and we'll type in button. So we know we're making a button, and then we'll put in the label for the button. And we'll give it a name. So our first button is going to make our arc length. So we'll put in arc, okay, 1, okay, just to abbreviate it, and then maker. Great, so now that we've established that, we'll come out of our quotes, and we'll basically put the command next. So that's -C, space, and we'll call this curve info, and put our open and close parentheses. That's what we'll be running when we work on our procedure. And then we'll put a semicolon after that. Now we need to add the label. Remember, our second column is for our button description. So this is what is following next. So that's going to be text followed by dash label, followed by what the description is. So this is going to be for our curve info, our curve info node. So we'll come out of the quotes again and put in another colon. Now before we go ahead and add our next button, let's go ahead and make sure that this window works. So we'll add another comment, and we'll say this shows our window. We always want to test out our window prior to adding this huge script for it. So this is basically what this is doing here. So now we'll put show window, and we'll also put our variable, which is $ and node generator. Great, so once this has all been done, now what we should be able to do is hit Control A in our text field here, and just hit Control Enter to test out a window. Now it's saying our node generator is not unique, so we can do a few things here. For one, let's go ahead and switch this label to node generate. Okay, it should be fine once we've done that, so these two names do not conflict. So if we go ahead and do that, hit Control A again and hit Enter, notice now we get no error, and we have a button now that makes our curve info. Now there's nothing here yet to define what it's making. We've just added the window and the button, but notice this is actually pretty cool. Alright, so we have this established. Now if we try to make our window again, if we try to create it again, hitting Control Enter and hit Enter, notice that okay, everything seems to be working correctly. So this is really cool. Now if you ever run into the problem of your window not showing up, go ahead and insert this line, what we're about to do, right above the rest of our window script. We'll call this label checks for our window and deletes it. So sometimes run into situations where you need to add this line just to delete your window so it will always show up. Okay, so this just goes in the background, deletes the window, and has it reappear after it runs the rest of the script. Simple as that. But we want to add another single quote, again right above the tab key, and we want to check for our window. So we'll put window or if first, followed by our open close parentheses, and then we'll put window, okay, and then followed by dash exists. And then we need to put in the exact name for our window. That's going to be node generate. Okay, let's go ahead and type that in. Node, there we are. Generate, if that window exists, followed by another single quote. Then right out of that, we want to now put a curly bracket. An open curly bracket can go right to the line underneath that. Hit the tab key so we can establish everything in an organized manner inside our mail window, that is. Now we'll want to say, okay, delete that window if it appears. So again, that's node generate. There we are. Hit colon, and then to close all of this off, we want to put another close. This time a close curly bracket. So now if we hit Control A and hit Enter, notice that our window will always now appear. Wonderful. So now that we've added this, the next button that we'll want to add is for our multiply divide node. So let's go ahead and just close out our node generator window. And all we need to do is select these separators that we have, copy the line from the separator even to the button, hit enter, and then hit paste. Simple as that. Okay, so we don't need to rename a whole lot here. So for our button label, we'll call this Molt. Oh, go ahead and even capitalize the Molt, and then div. Okay, so that's what our button label will be. For our command, we can make that as simple as Molt div, like that, similar to what we had here, but just a few differences. And then for our label, for the description, we'll call this our Molt div maker, followed by echo, echo. Okay, so now that we have this, if we go ahead and now run this window again, notice that we now have two buttons. And of course, they're not currently working right now, but we have everything looking just fine for now. Great. So once this has been done, what we'll do is go ahead and stop the lesson here, and in the next lesson, we'll work on making sure that our buttons work.